Welcome to Actually Controller, the podcast that is actually Controller, and we are actually in control of everything you are hearing right now. I'm so very sorry. Welcome everyone back to Actually Controller for episode 6. We're going to be talking about all of the nuances and way too much effort and time that goes into Controller's artwork.
All right, so if you don't like any of our artwork, that would be my fault. No, I'm kidding. That's actually, it would be.
This is Steve, by the way, that's on for this episode, and
Chad.
And this is Jeff.
So, thanks again for coming back. Appreciate you.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Probably.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I don't know if we can really get too far down that way without it flagging. I don't know if Welcome Back Harder is something we got to worry about.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
you got that was less than a second. We're fine.
Yeah, we're fine. But yeah,
until we get DMCA.
Yeah. But yeah, we're kind of getting into some of the nuances of the artwork and everything. Kind of like Chad alluded to in the last episode, when the band name got thrown out. Jeff and I had many conversations. Multiple. Leading up to the decision of is this what we're actually going to have be the band name? And I won't lie, even after he had sold what his reasoning for it was, not that I disliked the thought behind the name or the name itself, I was not sold on the word itself. Kind of one of those.
It's like, we'll go with Controller for now until we find something better. It's like always the way he was coming at it until he came across the artwork that he opted in on, and I was like, yeah, that's got him then. Well,
what it ended up being was it kind of got thrown around in our text messages, because at this point in time a Facebook group message thing wasn't really a thing at that point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, dude, like MySpace had just switched over.
Yeah, it was not that far past that to kind of date this band.
Oh my god.
Crazy. But wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
we
MySpace
predate the end of MySpace.
Within like
we technically had a MySpace page going at the very beginning of the band.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it hadn't fully lost relevance at that point.
Oh my god.
But
I was still using Morbius on my computer to download things that I'm not supposed to download. Thank you, FBI.
But yeah, I had kind of looked at it as all right, I'm not fully sold on it, but I get the concept. Let me start trying to draft some type of art then that's relevant to what Jeff's definition of the name was and everything, and kind of see where we go. And I wasn't even like, this is definitely going to be the branding. I was just trying to come up with clip art so that way we had profile pictures, because there's no band pictures of us.
Iconify of some sort.
Yeah, something to put up that we had instead of just a blank gray square on all of our social media stuff at that point.
We're exciting.
Yeah. And so I'm like, cool, let me come up with I came up actually with the very first piece of art was the 33 apple with the bite taken out of it.
So like I don't know how many people know about like the degrees of Freemasons or whatever else, but that's where like the whole 33 degree thing that got thrown on the apple, and kind of like a nod to silly stories that have been told over and over again. So
the deeper meanings and everything like that, without directly identifying one certain aspect of it or anything. Yeah. It was kind of one of those odes to knowledge.
There you go.
It's like the 33 degree is supposed to be like the highest form of enlightenment and knowledge. So it's
and kind of taking like the whole like illumination thing to be like,
as a tongue-in-cheek type moment.
Exactly.
But it was one of those, okay, let's throw that up. Cool, we got at least something to actually put as a profile pic now. Threw that out. Everybody in the band, for the most part, they weren't opposed to it or anything, but it wasn't like the thing.
Yeah, I was like, it's an apple.
Yeah. And then I was like,
what's that 33?
What goes with an apple? Comes off of a tree.
A tree.
Tree of knowledge and everything. Let me steer into all of that and everything, and then steering more into the, furthering of the, enlightenment and knowledge and all that stuff is where the meditating guy came from. And then at first, I just had him on the ground. I never sent that piece out to anybody else because I was like, well, I'll just have him on the ground, you know. He's residing underneath the knowledge and everything, but he's never fully
And then I put him on the ground.
Yeah.
Was the floating idea actually Matt's idea?
Nope. No, I had ended up... the reason I made him floating, and I want it to be deeper than this. I want it to have so much more meaning, but it doesn't.
Match in the roots.
He got lost in the root base of the f***ing tree. That's, retake. Of the effing tree, because the way he was folded, it was like shoulders and a head. And that was all that was there. And I'm like, that just doesn't look right. He's missing in there. I need to... Cool. It works too, because now it looks like he's extra enlightened. And
then I took him off the ground.
Yeah. But yeah, as much as I want it to be a deeper meaning, the initial reason that I made him a floating meditating guy was just because he got lost in the root base of the tree logo. But then all of a sudden, you and the rest of the guys in the band, including Chad, and then other people out there on our socials, were like, "Oh, that's so deep. He's hit the full point of enlightenment where he's rising," and it's like, yeah, that's it.
Totally it.
That's what I was going for.
He's
totally
ascending degrees. You're correct.
That's album 2.
Yeah, that was album 2. Don't worry, I kept steering into it and everything.
And honestly, it makes sense. Our first album was called Undefined, and that kind of describes the following together of like the logo,
the band.
Yeah,
which is funny because like the tree with the Undefined, that was on the CD.
Yeah.
And not actually on the casing.
And honestly, all over the CD, we went looking for like really oddball like physics problems and things to put all over the front.
The God particle.
Yeah, the God particle.
Yeah, the Higgs boson was actually the main focal clip art. The main focus that I went for when I was developing it.
The molecule for arsenic?
Yeah, that one was another one.
Like the art
because
of
that's
reality.
technically the 33rd.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like
element on the table.
Which jumps to our Elements of Humanity artwork.
Yeah.
Full circle kind of thing.
So we're like, again, like all the things that were hidden in our artwork, and in the artwork, if you're going through album to album, you'll find little tidbits hidden everywhere. I eventually came up with a key icon that has the treble clef incorporated in it, as well as the 33 is in the teeth. And then there was an eyeball icon that had
eyeball
like,
keyhole
in the center, and there's actually another eyeball icon that has a clock in the eye instead that I haven't brought forward because I thought we have other things coming.
Right, but yeah, the main premise for the Undefined art, in total was I wanted it to seem like a lost page out of Da Vinci's notebook.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that, and like it needed to look.
I really loved the concept of that too.
Yeah, I wanted it to not be a one-dimensional. I wanted, if we were steering into the quote-unquote higher knowledge concept, I wanted it to be broad. I wanted it to be within the sciences, within the maths, within the arts, where just like Da Vinci, he was a Renaissance man and had doodlings and notes of every and any field, and I wanted that to kind of be the feel with it. And then I got the whole outside done, and we were then thinking about doing, because this was a thing at this point still in this band, expanded edition CDs were still something people looked for.
Yeah.
So we hadn't quite gotten to the point where musically we were ready to release Perfect Silence. Or not Perfect Silence. Yeah.
Yeah, Perfect Silence.
Yeah. Releasing Perfect Silence at that point. But we did know that we wanted to do some type of an expanded release. So what we opted to do was expanded artwork. And at that point in time is when I looked at Jeff and I'm like, all right, I got the template and the base done, but I need there to be focal point art to put into it.
And so I came up with this idea of all these tarot cards. And they were individual. If you look at the tarot cards, they include our rising sign as well as our descending sign and so on.
Star map for the exact day we were born.
And a star map of of the constellation behind the person that it represents, and each one of us is holding our fingers with our given correlated number.
Yep.
It was really kind of a whole thing to make sure that everything came full circle, and all the mottos, if you were to read them through, all pertain to one another. So it was
and
a really
everybody's
interesting-
main focal personality trait of the band
Yeah.
was kind of their character
Yeah.
embodied on the card and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it was that artwork. I will say, I don't know if a lot of people really get into Photoshop or have an understanding for Photoshop, but for those who do, to give a rough idea of how many layers I had going for that album cover alone, I had over 150 layers
And we love you for it.
total going
Truly.
for that album cover alone before I rendered down and rasterized the copy. So
I mean, my guess is that Pixar movies have more layered.
I'm probably
Layers.
nowhere near a Pixar level, but
So
for
we're
your average
only by
band,
4.
yeah, but only by 4.
Only by 4.
But your average band, I doubt, puts that many layers into their normal artwork. That was also we were going for broke because, being realistic, we were still at that point really viewing this band as
This
we're
will
trying
probably-
to have this be fun, and this isn't going to go anywhere. This is kind of that, like, bucket list item. None of
Yep.
us had really gotten to do an album from any of our other projects to this degree of involvement. So it was one of those, if this is the only thing I get to ever release as a full-length album,
throw the sync at it.
then
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do everything and anything I can at it. And then if after this CD release show, that was kind of the one and done, as much as that sucks, at least we got as much out of this squeeze as we possibly could.
I think the thing that really kind of awoken us to the idea that we had something more going here, though, was honestly the T-shirt pressing of that logo, the tree logo.
Yeah.
And now, mind you, we
From
did
the
this-
demo release
yes,
before
we
that.
did this all on white T-shirts. So a metal band pushing white T-shirts usually doesn't go so well, but for some reason, these particular white
We sold
T-shirts,
out at the first show we ever played because
they flew out of our hands.
we went to our very first show we ever played with a 3-track demo that we had recorded in hand that you can actually listen to on any of our streaming services. So
Yeah,
check that
us
out.
Yeah.
But
if you got like
yeah, we had gotten that demo and the first run of T-shirts printed to take to that show, hoping maybe one person would maybe want to buy something, and we sold out of the T-shirts.
I'd way like to make our own tarot deck.
I don't even know how to start that process or where to even go. So if you want to do it, or if any of you out there know how to, please leave in the comments and we'll figure out how ridiculously expensive it is. So that way we can look at Jeff and go, cool, that's on you, bud.
Or you guys can help me.
Or
by-
yeah, if you want to help finance it,
They-
we're all for
yeah.
that as well.
We'll discuss that in depth. You
Yep.
can DM me.
But yeah, the artwork then moved on to the Redefined EP, which that whole EP was just, for the lack of better words, it was leftover tracks that did not fit anything in the context of Undefined.
And a couple remixes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was one of those, we wanted the songs out, we didn't know what to do with them, so with them being from the same writing collection, though,
I mean,
it was...
And realistically, like, there's always been an issue with that within our... Because we don't stick to just one archetype of sound when we go writing. A lot of the times we'll just go writing and be like, oh my gosh, I love this, you know? Or we'll have a head focus and we can't get away from it. But we have a habit of writing a lot of songs all the time, just pretty much all the time. I only want to write pretty much all the time. So
It's not a problem, don't worry.
No.
there's an incredible amount of music that I've written that won't fit Contrøller, and there's a bunch of music he's written that honestly wouldn't fit Contrøller.
Nope.
So every once in a while we will drop that oddball release that's like, this is completely left field from what you normally hear from.
Hint, hint, that might be coming soon.
Might be. Well, we hope so.
Maybe.
So...
But yeah,
I'm kind of putting pressure on Jeff by advertising. hint, hint, it might be coming soon.
Might be, like I said, we really hope so.
But like back to the artwork.
Yes.
But,
Absolutely.
yeah, Redefined was kind of just if it was a collection of songs, in my opinion, that came from the Undefined era, it made sense to just kind of steer with the Undefined art still.
Yeah.
And just pop
And
it into
rebrand
negative.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just restylize it a little bit. But so Redefined's artwork was just expanded upon Undefined artwork.
Yeah.
Ascending Degrees, though,
Ooh.
is where it took a big turn. Where I was,
Smoke.
This is where the artwork really started to escalate a
Yeah.
lot.
yeah, that one. So to kind of give context to how I go about art, and I don't know if any other artists or graphic artists out there, because I don't like calling myself an artist. I'm a guy who builds things that needs to be done for the band. But the way that I view how I approach things is
Artistic MacGyver.
I start first and foremost with every single one of our cycles from what color palette am I first diving into. Where Undefined was in taupe and brown palettes, Ascending Degrees was with the blue palette, Expanded was within the red and black
Red
palette.
and black, yeah.
And then with Watch It Burn, that ended up being the yellow orange
Yeah,
palette.
that was like the bright sun
Yep.
colors. And
then
pretty.
with Elements, it was one of those, I wanted to do blue, but I wanted it to be not the light, airy white blue like we have from
purple
Ascending, but the
blue.
dark
That
blue.
bold.
Navy.
Yeah, and just to kind of give everybody a little bit of a preview, one of our upcoming EPs and kind of the new artwork direction is going to be leading into the purple palette. And you may have already noticed that a little bit with the
Clarity.
yeah, the artwork for Clarity. So that's kind of where that's going. But yeah, Ascending Degrees was kind of the, all right, we're doing this for real.
Yep.
This band is for real now.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity to actually
Sit
do
down.
a second album.
What really changed it all is when we went in to record that first album,
Yeah.
and it was a marathon on a weekend to get it all.
Yeah, we recorded that entire album
on a weekend.
in 2 days.
Yeah.
I just watched all the.
Yeah, and if you want to kind of see some of the behind the scenes from that album recording, they're on our YouTube
we
channel.
look quite a bit younger in it. Don't
Yeah.
make fun of us.
Skinnier and younger.
But honestly, after getting schooled on what we were doing right and what we weren't doing right by Austin, our producer,
Good old Austin Putt plugins.
he kind of set a standard in front of us, and that it became just kind of a constant goal of, well, we can just do better.
Yeah,
And I think
and we're still on that path.
And
I hope it's coming across that way.
I hope.
yeah. So we're
We genuinely are trying.
that has I stopped focusing on whether or not the band's doing much. I'm like, but am I getting better as a musician?
Yeah.
And like, okay, we have things going on, so get ready to do the things, but are you getting better as a musician?
Yep.
So,
And yeah, I mean, a huge attribute of where we've been to where we're going musically and sonically is all in great part to our producer Austin.
yeah,
Putt.
Austin was
He is. We started out as a 6-piece, and then we ended up still being a 6-piece. We just have one member who never performs live with us, and his name's Austin Putt.
Yeah.
But the Ascending Degrees artwork, though, it was one of those. We have Austin pushing us to do better. We're realizing this is turning into a real thing. We're wanting to do better for the music. The artwork needed to be reflective of that. So it was one of those, all right, I have my color palette. Another big thing that I throw out at the very beginning is I start to spitball ideas of the overall concept to my wife. And just to see from a outside, not because for those who don't know, my wife, as supportive as she is of me being in the band, does not care.
No,
And
not at all.
so when I throw something out to her, I know that it's going to come from an unbiased.
Yeah.
Is that going to be something that would catch your eye?
Right.
Is that something that would catch your ear?
It's not coming from a place of, oh, whatever you want, honey.
Yeah,
Like,
or
it's
a-
Oh, that,
Because I
that
love
looks
you.
fantastic because
Yeah.
I love you.
Exactly. So I know that I'm going to at least get a genuine answer out of her. So I threw out to her the general concept of the because we kind of landed already on the album name Ascending Degrees at this point, and it was one of those, well, we're going to have Ascending, let's steer into our meditating guy actually ascending from the ether, from the earth and everything like that, and have it be the 4 pillars.
Yeah, the whole Great Awakening bit.
Yeah,
that whole
and
idea.
Have each one of those pillars, if you look really closely, you can actually see small bits of our actual logos, our tree, our apple, the keyhole, and the key, actually all embedded in those pillars, meaning that each one of those 4 pillars is an actual attribute of what holds this band up.
What is Contrøller?
Kind of those Captain America.
Those symbols are,
with these rings.
even though they're there, they're well hidden in
Sorry,
there.
Captain Planet, not Captain America.
Oh yeah, Captain. Yeah.
You know, they're well hidden in there. If you're not paying attention, you're still gonna just miss right over the fact that they're there.
Yep. And then the actual internal artwork of it and everything like that, I made almost as a string map, where it kind of, before the conspiracy theorist thing became such a hot button thing, because it wasn't really that big of a deal at that point.
Are you talking about string theory over?
No, where it was like the actual string map, just like the meme from Always Sunny and everything like that, where he's like, look, type thing. I had kind of leaned into that because the conspiracy theorist thing was there. It's always existed, but it wasn't so prevalent when I was designing this artwork as it is nowadays. So it was actually where the tree logo was the center point, and then each box of all of our thanks, any info about everything, all had its own string mapping that all tied back to the tree, indicating that no matter how individual all of us are, we were all tied to the same meaning and project.
Time, that's all. We were just calling out the conspiracies. Coming.
That was also where I introduced for the first time our C33 artwork.
It makes a whole lot of sense. CDs are flat, Earth is flat. CDs are round, Earth is round at the same time.
Shut up.
No.
Well, our podcast just got rebranded under conspiracy. So, but
CDs are round, but also flat.
But yeah, the C33 logo is where it first got introduced, is on the CD itself for the first run of Ascending Degrees. We then went into the studio, recorded some additional songs that we felt should go with Ascending Degrees, because as much as we loved Ascending Degrees, it didn't feel complete.
No.
For the best way to describe it, the album didn't feel complete.
It was definitely missing those elements that got added into it.
In and around that time, too, is right before we were setting off to do, like, our first real
tour type stuff.
Like the in and around the region tour kind of thing. So I think there was also a lot on the table because of that, where we were like, okay, just kind of get it out of the way and get ready. So I don't know if that was... I
mean, we genuinely put a lot of time and effort into the album, and I don't want anybody to think that we didn't. Yeah. Because being completely realistic, by the time that I was done writing stuff for the expanded edition of Ascending Degrees, I was toast. Yeah. I could not write anymore for a long time. I didn't have it in me to do artwork. I didn't have it in me to write. I was a complete empty tank at that point in time. But the expanded, and I will say that out of all of the artwork that I've worked on, the expanded artwork is probably for me my least favorite. And I think that it's an indication of showing that I was already hitting that point of being done and kind of being fried, because obviously I wasn't working on the artwork until after we were already done writing, done recording, getting all of the music part done, and then it was okay, now we're on to packaging for release and everything.
No, so something else that should be stated here is that Steven, who is our overachiever, he has this tendency to literally do everything a lot of the time. So it's not even a matter that he couldn't ask. It's that he wouldn't want to be bothered to, and he can do it right then, so he's going to. And a lot of the times we'll find out even that he was going to ask, then opted out, and then decided to do the thing, all of the art that you see on any of our releases, all of our T-shirts, if he's either 100% the primary artist on it, or somebody has added a little bit, but he's the primary artist on it.
I've
so
given a lot of
absolutely everything that is branded for Contrøller is a Steven Sedek art project.
Well, I will say this though, and as much as that might be the case, it's not like though every time that any of the art for the albums have been getting developed that all of the proofs haven't been getting released to all of the band for input and for
the proof.
I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing. I'm
the
trying to
proof
give you
is
a
sent,
heads
and then
up.
it's like a 2 to 3 hour phone conversation.
I tried my best to try to take over some of the artwork because at the time we had a manager named Matthew who was getting after me. He's like, hey, if you want to do this thing, jump in on it. My thought being I just don't want him to burn out on doing all the art all the time. And I was running out of time. I wasn't going to hit the deadline when it came to Elements of Humanity.
Yep.
And when it finally came to, he had...
Presentation day, yeah.
Presentation day. You had how much time to come up with the actual cover?
I had been working on it for about a week and a half.
A week and a half. And then that was the cover we ended up going with. Because at what point I had my art... I wasn't even close. And I love the artwork. I'm glad we didn't go with mine because mine was busy as crap in comparison. And yeah, it was a much better jump to. But if you like any of the art or any of the branding, 98% to 99%, that's probably a Steve artwork.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make it sure that everybody was aware. It's not like I'm being some, pretentious art
He's
a-hole.
not controlling the art.
I'm going, I developed it, and you don't get to tell me if it's good or not.
The controller.
That's my art.
Yeah, it's always been, if art was getting developed, there's always been proofs that were sent out with okay, this is where I'm going with it. This is where I was kind of thinking about doing ads or modifications.
Right.
Does anybody feel like they're liking this or that? Do they want me to add something? Do they want me to tweak something?
Basically, if there's a body part that's like weirdly misplaced in the art, that's probably mine. But
and he did it on purpose.
But like otherwise,
for abstract,
more likely Steve. Yeah, I'm not an abs. Okay, to be fair. Okay.
Here's the thing.
Actually.
I was born with assorted sizes, so I can't help but think in the abstract.
Fine.
I was born
Go that way.
Abstract.
I was just saying that you're way freaking crazy and you like to think abstract.
Again.
Had nothing to do with your abstract, quote unquote, appendages.
Way I was born.
Okay.
Other people have arms. I didn't come with a pair. I got assorted arm.
I'm glad we fleshed that whole part out before we started recording. But yeah, the art has always been very
argumentative. We fight over it. Oh my gosh, there have been so many times where I thought I was going to get into a fist fight with Steve. That's not a lie.
No, that's true. But no, I will say the point I was going to bring towards the art though was, I will say that no matter what art you look at of ours, if you look closely, there is in every piece some nuance that is a deeper meaning than the surface level meaning on any of our album artwork. There is always some attribute of it that is of a deeper meaning and everything.
It's like all the different layers, man.
Like the for those who don't have the actual Elements of Humanity CD itself, the actual CD art itself is of our meditating man actually having the one palm actually have the element for hydrogen
in his hand,
coming out of his hand,
yeah,
and going into what is, for lack of better words, a depiction of kind of the universe as kind of a... Well, one is of hydrogen, the other is of carbon. And it is to show that at our base element, what actual elements truly make up humanity, and make up the universe in total and everything, and make up all that is.
I always kind of like, on that particular, since it's our latest release, EP release, I always thought it was really interesting because it was like you had the character offset to the idea that they are in part of all of these things, and then as you open up and listen to the music, the other elements are then they're available to you. It's like other elements are there and are available to you, where it's like the emotional context kind of joins all those things together and like makes a daisy chain of ideas.
Oh no, the music definitely dictated the direction for art for me on Elements of Humanity and everything, because the whole concept of the from one palm of hydrogen into the next palm of carbon in a circular fashion of the from the base element into carbon, what makes what the universe can provide to create what is humanity.
Once I saw the core,
it's like a circle.
Once I saw the core of your artwork, I had no arguments about it, especially since mine was still trying to make those connections, and I'm like, but its daisy chain works out so well.
Well, and then kind of what Chad was bringing up earlier, that I had completely, because I've developed so much artwork over so many years, I had completely and utterly spaced that I had actually put the atomic makeup of arsenic as a clip art piece into our undefined art.
Undefined. And when he showed me the cover art and showed me that, Contrøller were the 33rd element.
Yeah, the actual table box.
The 33rd element on the chart is arsenic. I was like, kind of like how you had the arsenic molecule on our first album.
You're like, what? I did what?
Yeah, I'm like, I totally meant to do that. It's not like I did that by a fluke or anything like that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
If it, after 11 years of art development, I don't remember everything I've done. But luckily I have a band member who's attentive enough to the things that I have released.
Well, thank you,
You're
Chad.
welcome.
I'm glad that
You're
you
welcome.
made sure that his art was perfect.
Yeah, because I was so going for that. But
again, thank you, Chad.
Yeah.
I love being able to find those tie-togethers.
It is good.
And that piece of art, that portion of the art from Elements of Humanity was the actual T-shirt that we used as the launching T-shirt for merch for the Elements of Humanity release. Right. And we still have a few of those available if anybody's actually interested in any of our merch stuff. But
I didn't know that we had... Do we have shirts that'll fit me?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we have... if you're interested in any of the merch stuff or any of our socials or anything like that, there's always a list, if you're on YouTube, of all of our links in the comment section, or you also have, if you're listening someplace else, access to our Linktree /Contrøller33, and that'll take you to
everything.
A list of everything. Merch, socials, everything.
All our stuff.
It shows you everything.
You can literally steal all of our stuff. Actually, you can't steal it.
Please don't steal from us.
They're probably going to, charge you for it.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's worth, what they're charging.
Yeah, please let us know if it's not.
Yeah, if it's not worth what they're charging, then we'll get after them.
Yeah. Or we won't, because we're not that powerful.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
We also do want to remind you that this is as a video version of the podcast. However, you're only going to be able to access that if you actually are on our Patreon.
Yeah, so some of these things we were talking about doing, like us wearing leotards, rather lederhosen.
Well, leotards or lederhosen.
You would have to subscribe to us on our Patreon to get the actual video of us doing the drinking games or the later.
Yeah,
hosing.
and we would love for you to share with us some of your favorite drinking games.
Yeah.
So that way we know in the future when we do get around to doing the drinking game episode, some of your preferred ones. Do keep in mind, some of them might not be okay because it might get us, knocked off of certain platforms.
Yeah.
So we are going to be selective
Exactly.
of what drinking game we opt to pick.
Everybody take a shot of their water.
Yeah.
Take a shot of their water.
This
Why's your
water
yellow?
burns.
Oh, what a tasting water.
Oh my God, it burns so good. The video version will always be up on Patreon if you're ever interested in seeing what our faces look like or the antics we might get into and what we might be dressed up in.
We're
Yes,
sorry again.
Yes, if we do end up doing cosplay nights and wearing later tards.
Later
and
Not later hosen or later tards. Later tards.
Later tards or hose and taters. Hose and taters. I don't even know what a hose and tater is.
Oh my God, we just found a niche market. We're going to make later tards.
We're making later tarts and hose and taters. All right, I might need to get out. This might be it for me.
Yeah.
Stick a fork in me.
So, thank you everyone for
Thank
checking
you.
out this episode.
I love
Thanks
your
for listening to us. And yeah, look into the artwork. See what you can find in it. See if you find anything that we didn't bring up, or if you happen to look at the artwork and have a question on anything that you found in there.
Oh, hey,
There's a possibility I might remember.
Oh, and hey, real quick, Dad, if you're listening, you better not throw another frickin' party tonight, all right? Look, you have a bedtime. You understand? Homework. Get it done. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Love your guts.
Okay,
you guys.
catch you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Actually Controller. If you liked what you heard, please consider following us on all our socials. You can easily find us on all the different platforms by going to linktree/controller33 or scan the QR code if you are watching the video version of this episode. Thank you.